Three ghosts take him on a scary journey and show him the error of his ways, showing him the past, showing him his past. Hey storytellers, welcome to Sell Your Story, where you learn how to write better book descriptions for your self-published fiction. My name is Jason. I'm a story seller. That means I create book descriptions that excite readers to read your self-published fiction like they were Ebenezer Scrooge on Christmas morning. In this video, I'm breaking down a few book descriptions for Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, published in 1843. I'm going to read these book descriptions in bad English accents, and I'm going to share helpful tips with you that you can use to write better book descriptions. So this is not a book review, it's a book description breakdown. What I'm looking for is attention-grabbing, emotion-stirring, curiosity-creating descriptions that make the right buyer want to buy the book today. So let's see which of these book blurbs sells the story the best. Let's get started with the first one. A Christmas Carol is a novella by Charles Dickens, first published in London by Chapman & Hall in 1843. The first edition was illustrated by John Leech. A Christmas Carol tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an old miser who visits A Christmas Carol tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an old miser who is visited. I'm having trouble. A Christmas Carol tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an old miser who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the ghost of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. After their visits, Scrooge is transformed into a kinder, gentler man. You just gave it away. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown. First of all, information about the book in the first sentence. That is not the way to start. That's exposition about the book, and that's boring. You don't want to do that. Who the first edition was illustrated by, again, not really integral to selling this book to people who want to read. The illustrations might be great. Maybe John Leech did great work. That's not what we're here to talk about. This is not how you sell the story. A Christmas Carol tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge as a miser and all that stuff, and all of that is just exposition. But it's not said in an exciting way. Does this hold attention? I would say yes, because it's too short not to. Does it stir emotion? No. Where? You have no emotional words here. So that's out. Curiosity? No. There's no open loops. There's no questions. They tell you how it ends. So no curiosity either. Who's the right buyer for this? Probably somebody in a hurry who doesn't mind having the ending spoiled for them and who doesn't have time to look for, another book that's actually kind of described better. Let's take a look at number 2. A Christmas Carol is one of Charles Dickens' most cherished and loved stories, loved by both adults and children. Sentence fragment. The story of Ebenezer Scrooge on a cold Christmas Eve night. 3 ghosts take him on a scary journey and show him the error of his ways, showing him the past, showing him his past, showing him his past, present, and future. Scrooge eventually learns to love Christmas and everyone around him. A must-read at Christmas time. Okay. That's not incredibly long. Does it hold attention? Probably. It's too short not to. Emotional language is minimal. Minimal here. Most cherished, loved, and a scary journey. So these are words and phrases that tap into emotion. There's no curiosity because it tells you everything, including the ending. Of course, you know, as a self-published fiction author, never to do that, right? But you're sitting here looking at these descriptions and wondering, why would anybody do that? I have a theory. Just because everyone is supposed to know the story, it's like watching Apollo 13 or something. You don't tell them the ending, but there's no reason to ruin the ending for anyone. The people who know will already know. The people who don't know, don't tell them. Who's the right buyer for this? I'm going to say nobody, because it is a grammatical mess. If this wasn't already a famous story, I would bet that this book was filled with flaws in the writing, and that's bad. How your book description is written suggests the integrity with which you put in effort to your book. So this is unacceptable. This one doesn't sell the story. This is a bad description. Bad description. This book deserves better. Let's go ahead and read book description number 3. A masterpiece, a must-read. Okay, this is too short not to hold attention. Granted, right? What are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4 words. If there's a hyphen, is that still 4 or is that 5? It's one word? 4 or 5? It doesn't matter. 4 or 5, that's ridiculous. This story deserves more than that. You can't just say it's a masterpiece and everyone go, oh, yeah, it must be. It's a must read. Oh, okay, yeah, I must read that then. It's not the way it works. There's no emotion. There's no curiosity. There is no right buyer. This sells nothing. Let me say this. I have written book descriptions for authors who were using a description that was a single sentence. There's a lot of insecurity around how to write a book description, and I completely understand that. A single sentence book description. Sometimes that will happen. And there's a mental block happening which makes you do that. You know you worked hard on your story. You know how much effort you put into it. But the book description can be a real pain to actually create. And I understand that. I can work with the author if this is what they were using to make sure that we pulled all the richness out of their story and put that into a book description that had all the parts. But this is a joke. So if you have a short book description because you weren't sure what to do, even if it's one sentence, I've seen it before, I've helped with that, but this is completely disrespectful to Charles Dickens. How about that? So let's not do this kind of thing to your book description. Short is fine. This is silly. Sillier than the accent. I would take a stand on that. Okay, let's read number 4. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. This is a top to bottom summary of the entire story. Okay, all right, here we go. A mean-spirited, miserly old man named Ebenezer Scrooge sits in his counting house on a frigid Christmas Eve. His clerk, Bob Cratchit, I can't do it. I can't read this whole thing. I was going to try. I can't possibly do it. I'm not going to do it. Let me go ahead and break this thing down for you. No one's going to read it, so attention's out. Emotion, might have some. I don't know. I'm not reading it. Curiosity? No, because it tells you the entire story, top to bottom. You and I know that this is silly, right? But think about this. Someone did it. They did it. So they didn't know. So you never know what people know, right? But you don't give away your story in the description. Why would you do that? You obviously don't want to do a really long description full of exposition. This is the absurd version of that. So who's the right buyer for this? Nobody. Let's move on to number 5. Here we go. A deluxe silk-bound edition of A Christmas Carol, complete with gold foil embossing and original Victorian illustrations, presented in a decorative slipcase. First published on 19th December 1843 and written at a time of decline in festive tradition, A Christmas Carol became an instant classic, while the character of Ebenezer Scrooge has become the epitome of miserliness. His story of redemption reinforces expectations for Christmas Day as a time of peace and goodwill to all men. This beautiful hardback edition makes a wonderful seasonal gift that the whole family can enjoy. That's who I hear when I read that. So here I am saying, sell your story. And you do need to do that because it can be available in all kinds of platforms, paperback or hardcover, ebook, audiobook. You need a description that will work for any one of those mediums. This is selling a hardcover edition of the book, and it is selling the book. The story is a fact. It's a feature. But it is really into telling you how luxurious this hardcover edition of the book is. Gold foil embossing, original Victorian illustrations. Gotta be honest, it tries harder to sell a copy of what it's offering here than the other book descriptions do. So it's too short and interesting to not hold attention. The emotions I feel are for the packaging and how luxurious the packaging is rather than for the story. Curiosity? Yes. To run my fingers all over the silk-bound gold foil embossing. The right buyer is probably someone who wants to own the most luxurious hardcover version of this story that one can buy. So, of all of those options, number 5 is the most fun, and it does the best salesmanship, but not for the actual story. The story that people have been reading every Christmas, that has been remade into movies and stage plays several times every year since 1843. This story matters. So you need to actually sell the story. Give it some respect, give it the weight that it deserves, and sell the bad boy. If you feel more confident in being able to write your own book descriptions with this very thorough breakdown, comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear that this video has helped you. If you want help with your book descriptions, if you want me to consult with you on yours or to write yours for you, click the link in this video's description to go to my website. I have a short questionnaire there just so that we can begin the process of me talking with you about your project, and we'll see what I can do for you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you next time.